Hello, bonjour, God bless. Lee Rice here, sitting in my 652nd place. I'd like to start this video to saying a special thank you to Quentin in English, and Brenda, who invited me to stay. I was going to sleep in this exact position. I played here yesterday. I felt really bad because there was a funeral started. So it's a beautiful place, really beautiful place. Very, very nice. The nature surrounding is remarkable. I walked nearly the whole way from Bloor. The cars keep on going, even on busy roads. Half of the time they just beep the cars and say, well, I'm in the way. And most of the time I don't even stick my thumb out. I don't want this to be negative, and I want it to be quite short. I've been on the road for 10.5 years watching a decaying society who've fallen into a deep dark coma into their smartphones. I'm using it now, using it wisely. The camera technology, the technology itself is not to be blamed. It's absolutely remarkable technology. How it's being used is a bigger catastrophe than many of you still seem to have realized. I've watched the heads fall deeper and deeper into the phones until there's absolutely no care, no awareness of anything at all other than the phone. I was going to sleep in this position until the new friends, which just so happen to be everywhere I go, the people who take 5 seconds to come and say hello. I played in Laval, again, not to take away from there, on and off on the Sunday. Not many people around, fair enough. I watched a man begging outside the patisserie, everyone walking past, nearly everyone. I only had food that day because of people giving out food. I'm about to hitchhike to the next place, St. Helier North, where I'm getting the second vaccine tomorrow. I don't want to talk about the vaccine, everyone's got different views. I'm getting it because, well, I meet a lot of people, and well, at the end of the day, I can't really continue my life traveling and all of this without it. And I understand both sides of the argument, enough said on that. I've watched society, as I've said, for a very long time. I wrote songs like Change Our Minds, Defending the Children 5 years ago. I wrote Zombies Don't Feel Pain 6 years ago. And many people, in fact, Change Our Minds was 6 years ago too. I've watched society for so long, I see clearly that the children clearly see, very clearly, that everywhere I go it's exactly the same. The children make eye contact, the children don't make first impressions, the children hear the music, the children see the nature. What went wrong with us? Well, I can say after watching society, hand on heart, the biggest thing that went wrong in the last 5 years in particular is the heads falling deeper and deeper into computers. In reality, everything else good is exactly the other way. The homeless figures, which I mentioned on a live performance in TikTok the other day, the battery went. Anyone who saw that, I apologize. It's hard to calculate, but between America, Canada, and Europe, I estimate from the figures I found that approximately 500,000 people are dying per year in the last 5 years. That's a lot of people. If them figures could be calculated globally, that's just incomprehensible. The number of homeless people that have died as a direct result of the loss of empathy. The car accident figures are absolutely remarkable. I found USA figures, 300,000 people dying per year from not being able to switch off the data. I've nearly died myself multiple times. People changing YouTube channels with the phone, smart computer on the dashboard, sending WhatsApp messages to people when they're only traveling half an hour to see them, swerving all over the road. Many, many, many times I've got out of the car and think, whoa, I'm so lucky with some protection to actually have made it, to have survived this journey. The insanity of the human condition is so deep. The biggest side of it for myself as an observer for so long is how many more haven't realized the insanity of living inside a computer, outside in reality, and missing everything else in the process. So I want this to be short. I've got to hitchhike only 32 kilometers. I try and stay positive all the time, but needless to say, I've walked more than 200 kilometers in the last 17 days. And the cars just keep on going past. I don't even bother sticking my thumb out. I've never met a serial killer, long-haired guitarist myself on the road after traveling 11 years. White people don't take the time for each other, for homeless people, for hitchhikers, for people who need help, for music, for art, for everything else the other way is truly remarkable. Now, I'm only going to play 3 songs. I've run out of data, so you'll watch this later when I find Wi-Fi. 3 songs, I've got to breathe a little bit. Had a couple of beers with the new friends last night, so I smoked a little bit more than I usually would. So this is one I wrote recently called You Taught Me to See. I spent a long time searching the wrong way. I spent a long time looking the wrong way. me back my eyes, they belong to me. You gave back my eyes, you taught me to see reality. I spent a long time running the wrong way. I spent too much time lapse looking the wrong way. You gave back my eyes, they belong to me. You gave back my eyes, you taught me to see reality. Oh really? Now there's so much to discover the other way. And we're there for each other the other way. I spent a long time dreaming, it was never my dream. I spent a long time dopamine dreaming, do you know what I mean? You gave back my eyes, they belong to me. You gave back my eyes, you taught me to see reality. Oh really? Now there's so much to discover the other way. And we're there for each other the other way. I spent a long time falling into the ground. Engine starting and stalling in the very lost not found. You gave back my eyes, they belong to me. You gave back my eyes, you taught me to see reality. Now there's so much to discover the other way. And we're there for each other the other way. Now there's so much to discover the other way. And we're there for each other the other way. You gave back my eyes, they belong to me. You gave back my eyes, you taught me to see. You gave back my eyes, they belong to me. You gave back my eyes, you taught me to see reality. You gave back my eyes, you taught me to see reality. So that's about the insanity, of course. I'm going to go straight to the next song. I want to keep this short because I already know before I post it that the vast majority of people won't get to even 3 or 4 minutes. I've even made videos very, very short before. One person where I shared it, I said, God help the children, if only we could see like they do. And the reply, it was 14 seconds. I couldn't get more to the point than that. Why is the video so short? Well, that's why. Laugh at the insanity. So next I'll do At a Time Like This, which is now released with GFE Ultra. It's on Spotify, signed to a record label in Brazil. He's a dance producer, my brother Thierry. Incredible dance producer. I'm really, really honored to work with him. He sends me incredible music, and I've been writing a long time, so it just was a magic connection. At a Time Like This is also released with my alien brother, Dr. Smooth Vibes from Blower, where I just spent a couple of weeks over Christmas. And I wrote it during the first lockdown. I don't want to say which version is my favorite. I love all of the versions. Working with Ernèe, Dr. Smooth Vibes, is incredible. Incredible producer, incredible guitarist. I'm lucky to work with super talented people. And I'm determined to continue my journey as a writer and as a person standing for what is right, which is exactly the opposite way. kind of changed the version myself from when I originally wrote it. It's, but I don't know, it's not fair for me to say which version. I really love what Thierry did, and I was so happy when I felt that the text fits so kind of naturally. So I'm really happy to work with him. There's another song, Make It Through, GFE Ultra on YouTube and GFE Ultra on Spotify. So I'm really tired, of course, from the journey. I'm exhausted, but I'm determined to continue the fight. I'm going to be leaving here now. And again, I'd like to say a special thank you to Brenda and to Quentin, who I keep on pronouncing his name wrong. I'm terrible with French. For the hospitality the last couple of days for inviting me. I think I arrived with 80 cents. My mother transferred a little bit yesterday, and then my Amazon Prime bill went out, so I was left with €5. I leave here now in my 652nd place with zero. I've got a few pieces of bread, water, and curry sauce. I've eaten this morning, so that's cool. And now I'm interested to see how long it takes for one single person to stop to pick up a writer from the side of the road. The chances of the person on the side of the road being a serial killer, well, it's almost zero, isn't it? We'll see how long it takes. I know for sure nearly every time I start, I don't even bother, as I've said earlier in the video, I don't even bother hitchhiking most of the time now. And I'll say this, I understand completely the fear of COVID, but as one person said when they picked me up, do you have your mask? I mean, I've had one vaccine, I'm getting the second one tomorrow. Fair enough, fear, but what about compassion? What about care? What about love? What about taking the time for each other? Anyway, okay, so I wanted to keep it short. It's already 13 minutes. I'm going to do one more song, and then I'm going to go and hitchhike and see what happens. I wrote this 6 years ago. I'm only going to play... No, in fact, I'll try and play the whole song, Change Our Minds. In fact, I'll take a little drink of water first and breathe a couple of times. Right. Enorme. I'm trying to learn French, but I'm also determined not to fall into the trap of staring into the screen too much. Duolingo, fair enough, like my brother said, I can use it 10 minutes a day and I'm sure I'll get stronger. I'm a little embarrassed with the fact I've been here for, well, I don't want to say, quite a while and I haven't picked it up yet. Of course, I got stuck with with all of the COVID nightmare, and I'm still stuck because I can't leave without getting the second vaccine. In fact, it sounds like I couldn't leave until I get a third vaccine, by the way it's looking. But anyway, don't want to talk about the vaccines. So Change Our Minds I wrote in Switzerland 6 years. As I said earlier in the videos, I watched for so long, it's very clear to see in just 5 minutes of observation that clearly the children are having a good time. They're appreciating nature, they're appreciating music, and they're not making first impressions on those they know nothing about. See? So I finish with saying one more thing for anyone who made it to the end of the video. I don't mean to take out my anger or frustration on anyone in the places I go to, but imagine what it's like watching society for, well, 10.5 years. The first year and a half I focused on learning guitar. I used to play left-handed for a short time. I'm not the world's greatest guitarist. I'm getting stronger all the time. And a lot of the time I'm very, very tense, like I am now from all of the battles. I'm a writer fundamentally. I spent the first year and a half mainly volunteer work now, and it's 10 and a half years, including COVID, I've been on the road. And I could run on for hours with the stories of all of what I've seen on the journey. But the simple fact is, as I've noticed and observed in my very, very long journey, many people don't want to listen. Many people don't want to change. I've said this in other videos too, multiple times over 6 years. I stand with God, nature, all of us together, our home. I stand with change. I just played in Changé, and that was really appropriate. It was my 649th place after playing in Laval, which is backwards and forwards. I've been walking backwards and forwards, doing this, walking backwards to help people realize that they're stuck in a zombie apocalypse for a long time. And the simple fact is, most people are stuck so deeply in that world. I don't want to say most, but a very high percentage are so stuck in that world that they've lost the ability to see, hear, or feel anything else at all other than that world. I've said multiple times, and I've written multiple times, it's a very incredible technology. The technology, if I play the PlayStation 8 hours a day, I can't blame it, can I? It's not the PlayStation's fault. It's not the smartphone's fault either. The technology, when used wisely, is absolutely incredible. I can do this now. I could do a live stream if I had data. The communication methods, the ability to be able to communicate globally, the camera technology, but it's not a smartphone. They call it smartphone. It's a smart computer, and I see it exactly like that. I switch off the data, I put the phone on silent, I switch off the notifications, and I encourage people to call me. And guess what? Most people refuse to call. They want to continue the relationship with no tone, no emotion, and just sending message after message after message after message, rather than taking a 1-minute conversation and saying hello. Anyway, I'll finish by saying this, and I'm going to go and see hitchhike, and hopefully I'll meet one nice person on the road who's got 2 minutes to give someone a lift, 32 kilometers, a half-an-hour drive. If I walk it on the back roads away from the main road, it's 40 kilometers. I've done that before. I did it a couple of weeks ago, but I'm very, very tired, and I've got blisters on my feet, and not to complain, but I don't really have the energy. I could make it because I'm strong-willed. But I don't really have the energy today to make it, and the vaccine's in the morning. So I'm hoping that someone picks me up quite quick, but it'll be interesting once again to see if someone has the time for a writer sitting on the side of the road to give a half-an-hour lift. I've been playing that for a long time too. I played it in Greece outside the school, and many people didn't get it. I understand the language barrier, but I couldn't have made my case more clear there. Again, not an attack on there. I wrote a lot of songs there. I don't want to say the number because I don't ever want to get consumed in the world of ego. So, and in set, in one period over 3 days, sometimes I leave the case open, sometimes I leave it closed. €4 in 3 days for a writer. Again, not to take away from there. The problems with society are that people just don't take the time, whether I leave the case open or leave the case closed. I could be homeless, I could be a cello player, I could be a pianist, I could be from this land or that land or whatever. But why don't we take the time for each other? Well, that's insanity, isn't it? Because clearly now the evidence is overwhelming how much of a mess we're in. COVID being one problem, homelessness being another, poverty being another, plastic being another. The list is absolutely endless. What's been achieved in the last 5 years? Well, all of the figures have gone up. How many millions have died from car accidents? How many millions have died globally from homelessness? How many millions of creatures have died in the last 5 years? Well, I know the figures for that. 3.5 million marine mammals and 5 million marine birds. That's a lot of creatures dead in 5 years. How long as a species did we imagine we could continue until we were affected? We're all part of the same connection. I feel God with me through nature. It's that simple. Anyway, enough frustration, and I'm sharing this to help you and more of you realize that we, not me, we have been going the wrong way, especially this way, and all the first impressions that are cast on those that we know nothing about. I can confirm that many of the best people I've met in my entire journey are exactly the people that are being ignored and rejected nearly everywhere I go. It is exactly like that. So now I'm going to go and hitchhike and see what happens. Fingers crossed that I get a lift quite quick. God bless, have a good day, and well, have a good day. You'll see this later on. I don't know why I'm saying having a good day. I won't be able to share it till I get some Wi-Fi. But anyway, God bless.